Now, there are some red flags that indicate that it's not salvageable. And I'm just going to touch on these because I do talk about this elsewhere. And this, what I'm really referring to is these are red flags if no further changes were made. If you just took things at face value right now without any changes and it was like what I'm about to say, then those would be red flags and would work against you. Repeated betrayals or abuse with no change. Obviously, abuse, if that's a precondition as far as I'm concerned. And so it gets a little bit dicey if the person who has an abusive history is willing to work on it and take accountability. But if you're the leaning in spouse and you're trying to fight for the marriage and your spouse that has repeatedly betrayed you or repeatedly abused you historically and is not part of the solution, it's not salvageable. They absolutely would have to be involved. I mean, you could stay, but I wouldn't ever recommend that for anybody. So what you're looking at is not just physical straight up violence, but we're talking about, chronic patterns of gaslighting, manipulation, withholding of information, dishonesty, cheating without remorse, or cheating without the willingness to do what it takes to heal and repair and rebuild trust. So an example would be if your partner has cheated on you repeatedly and they just want you to get over it, but they're not willing to do anything differently to help you with that. That is not something that I would recommend. The second red flag is if one person refuses to self-reflect ever. Like if you've been with somebody for 10 years and they've never apologized, or if they've maybe apologized once that you can remember, that is such a bad sign. That means they're not really willing to take accountability. They are not really looking inward, or maybe they're looking inward, but if they're not willing to share that they're sorry, or they're not willing to express their willingness to take accountability, it's not really sustainable, right? A sporadic apology once every 10 years is not going to cut it. At some point, even though I do say it only takes one to start to turn around your marriage, in the end, it does take two. So if you're doing all the work and you're somebody who's thinking, but if I just do the work myself, I can turn this around, and you've been doing that for a long time and you've cleaned up your side of the street and your partner still refuses to self-reflect and they won't join you in the work, then that's not a good sign and I wouldn't recommend staying together.